I should turn around. Aim the way I usually aim. No one's here yet, so it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, the lighting is definitely better this direction. So anyone who's watching this later after it's been recorded, just like skip ahead to like 5 minutes, because I never schedule these, although I figured out how to schedule it today, so maybe next week I'll schedule it. I mean, it wasn't hard to figure out, I just had to look through the options, but you know, I haven't previously done that because I don't have time to mess around with all that crap all the time. Anyway, yeah, so if you're watching this after it's been recorded, just skip ahead a few minutes till I actually start doing stuff. Oh, 2 people are here. Hello, who is that, people? 3 people are here. Oh, it's Bubble Elvis. Oh, Bub Elvis. How you doing, man? I like your name. You know, I have a sourdough for making, you know, sourdough bread, and its name is Bubbles because it bubbles, you know. Daniel Roop, hey man. Karch Kimer. Hi Jamie. Hello everyone. All right, we got like 5 people here now. That's great. Napa, California. Cool. I've never been to Napa, California. At least not that I'm aware of. I once spent a couple months in California, and I had a really cool time there actually. Maybe I'll have to talk about it sometime. Still need to email me. Yes, you do. You need to email me, so you better get right on that and stuff. All right. So I did think about something I was going to talk about today at the beginning. Oh, first I should mention the sun hasn't come out in like 3 days. Ooh, it actually is a little bit bright right now. My voltage is up to 25.2. Very exciting. But anyway, my electricity has been pretty low because it's been cloudy for the last few days. Actually, it really has been cloudy for like the last week or 2, but the last few days has been very cloudy. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to do this today because my voltage was so low, but it's going up a little. My electricity is all right. So last week, someone commented that my lifestyle seems to be high impact. And I didn't really give a real response. I just kind of glossed over it and moved on. Partly because, you know, so much of my lifestyle is about not having a high impact, and the other part of it is just that it's a big response. It's a big comment. There's so much in that statement, so it wasn't really the kind of thing I wanted to just respond to on the spot. And I was kind of thinking I'd get back to it, and now I'm going to get back to it right now. So I'm definitely not going to be able to address everything in that statement that my life is high impact. But let me go through a few little bits and pieces that are related to this. One, as a living creature, we have to affect the world around us. Like, this is part of being alive. Like, you need to consume stuff, you need to eat up food. Like, somehow, for a thing to be alive, it has to be taking an energy. And, you know, vegans will say, well, I have no impact because I only eat vegetables, so I'm not killing anything. Yeah, but even in that situation, you're still taking up the space and the air that something else could be using. I mean, anytime you're alive, whether you're killing other things or just taking up a spot, something else can't live so that you can live. Oh, and on the topic of vegans, not that I have anything against vegans, but sometimes there's a vegan who's like, I'm saving the world because I'm vegan. And they just eat like factory farmed soy. And like, whether you're eating factory farmed soy or factory farmed cows, it's not that much of a difference. The factory farming is terrible. Anyway, so my little baby just got here. So just to be alive, you have a significant impact on the world around you. And I think maybe it's easy to see the impact that I have on the world because I have so much direct contact with nature, with the earth, which, if you really think about it, is how you can have the most positive impact. So it's not a question of whether or not you're going to have an impact. And yeah, you can increase and reduce your impact, but you're going to have an impact on the world regardless, even if you try to ignore it. So what do you do to try to have a good impact and not a bad impact and not a huge negative impact? Well, I mean, there are a lot of ways to get into that question, but I'm just going to tell a little story about a conversation I had with one of my friends who lived in Manhattan. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Manhattan is a piece of New York City. Some people, it is the New York City because, it's like the fanciest part, kind of. Now, Manhattan is an island. It's roughly 13 miles long and a few miles wide. I don't know, 4 or 5 miles wide or something. So it's not that big. And there are millions of people living on this island. I don't want to call it a little island because my island is a little island, but for the number of people there, the people are packed in real tight. And my friend was telling me, I don't know, somehow we came up in some, we're having some conversation about trying to be environmentally friendly, and he was telling me, yeah, but Jaimie, you take up so much space. I am much more environmentally friendly, me and all the people who live in Manhattan, because we take up so little space. There's so many people in such a small space. And I was like, oh, wow, yeah, I see where you're going with this. And I was like, well, tell me more about it. Tell me more about it. Like, where do you get your food? He's like, yeah, I don't even have to drive my car. I can just, I take the elevator down to the first floor, walk like a block and a half, buy food, come back. And, he's got his water right there. The electricity's beep, beep, right there. He's got everything he needs right in this little space. I mean, he can do everything he needs without having to go further than like 2 blocks away. So he has very little impact because he's doing so little to impact the world around him. And meanwhile, I'm, having all these, I'm making all these changes to the world around me, cutting up trees and, doing things and digging and changing the world around me. So his basic argument was that he takes up such a little amount of space, and I take up such a big amount of space. So I asked him, so where does your food come from? And he said, I just told you, it's from the store. And I was like, no. That's where you get it. Where does it come from? And he's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just always at the store. And I was like, no, the food comes from some farm somewhere, right? He's like, well, okay, yeah. Okay, so technically, you're also occupying some space at this farm somewhere. He's like, all right, I'll grant that. I'm also somehow using some of this farm space energy. Now, this farm is probably, his food's coming from various farms, but just to take an example, say there's a farm 1,000 miles away. The food comes from the farm, goes into some truck, to some distribution center, gets shuffled around a bunch by a bunch of people, and then gets into another truck, and then gets driven across the country, and then gets into a local distribution center, and a bunch of people do some stuff with it and send it out to various places, and it gets in another vehicle, and eventually ends up at his store. And he's like, well, yeah, how else is it going to get there? And I'm like, okay, so for you to get your food, you have to have all of these middlemen, all of these people between you and the farmer. That means there are all these people doing these jobs where they're not producing anything, because middlemen don't produce anything. So all these middlemen in there kind of facilitating this food to somehow get to you, so your no impact life. He's like, all right, whatever. So basically, the way he's living, it creates all of these jobs for all these people where they're not producing anything, but they still have to consume things because they're living. So they're consuming a lot, they're doing all this work and using all this energy and doing all this stuff, but not actually producing anything. He's like, well, how do you expect the economy to work? And that's where it always comes down to. It works financially, but a lot of stupid things work financially because we mess around with money in weird ways that make stupid things work. For instance, it's financially viable to have something made on the other side of the planet, then shipped all the way here, and then buy it here. because, countries mess around with their currencies and stuff, and they make it so that, money in one country is worth less than money in another country. And I don't just mean per dollar. I mean like the actual wage you have to pay someone ends up being less in certain countries, so you can get stuff built there, and it's still cheaper, even shipping it all the way across the planet, which is obviously more expensive than having something built next door. It's more expensive on a natural resource. If you're just looking at the resources level, of course, it's cheaper when you look at the money because of the funny tricks we do with money. So anyway, he's just explaining, well, you got to have all these middle people because then they all get jobs. But I'm like, well, if they didn't have those jobs, they could have other jobs where they're actually producing things. And this reminds me of another conversation that I had around the same time. Because after I graduated from school, a bunch of my friends just dispersed into different areas, and a lot of them landed in Manhattan, and I'd have conversations with them about it. And this ex-girlfriend of mine was living in Manhattan, and she was telling me about how amazing it is, and I was saying, yeah, I'm not really into the place. I mean, it's fine, but I don't really like it. She's like, well, what don't you like about it? And I'm like, well, amongst everything, amongst a whole bunch of other things, 90% of the city or more is just middlemen who don't actually do anything. They don't produce anything. They don't add any value to the world. They're just kind of talking to this person who's also a middleman, talking to that person who's also a middleman, and just doing all this management stuff and, administrative nonsense, not actually adding any value into the world. And she's like, oh, well, I'm not a middleman. And I'm like, what's your job? And she's like, well, I'm the head administrative assistant to and she just had this really long, boring title to her job. And I was like, that sounds like a middleman. What do you do? She's like, I'm not a middleman. I talk directly to the distribution center's head chief office guy who talks to the next person and talks to the next person, and then I get them connected with the local distributions people so that the import can have communications with the local distributions. And she starts describing this chain, this distribution chain of 30, 40, 50, 100 people that are all between some junk in China and someone's home in the United States. And I'm like, that's a middleman. You're a middleman. You're describing a middleman. And she got angry and said, I don't use middleman. I do it myself. And I'm like, no, you're not using middleman. I'm saying you are the middleman. And she just got really angry and the conversation was over. So the funny thing about having a negative impact on the world is that it's very easy to cloud your judgment, to not notice, to not see what's happening, particularly if you live in a city or any suburb or even out in the country a lot of times. If you're doing everything with money, it's very easy to ignore all the impact that you are having in the world, because you just, like my friend, he goes to the store, he walks a very short distance, he gives him a bit of money, he gets food, no impact, right? No impact, because he doesn't see it. And then when he gets the food to his house, he eats it, and we're going to ignore all the gas that's coming into his house and the electricity and the water and all that. Let's just stick with the food to keep this kind of simple. Eats the food, and then whatever food scraps are left over, he of course takes those and puts those into the ground so they can compost and give nutrients back to the earth to grow more food, right? No. He takes the food scraps, puts it into a garbage thing with a bunch of plastic stuff and a bunch of paper and other potentially biodegradable stuff, but now it's all mixed in with plastic, and then puts that all inside another plastic bag, and then takes it and it just goes away. Except it doesn't just go away. It goes somewhere. So now he's also occupying some landfill or various landfills all over the world, just putting this garbage all over, but he doesn't see it because he doesn't go there. So I think it's very easy to look at someone who lives like on a farm or like an off-grid place and say, wow, you have a really high impact on the world around you. Because you actually see it all, it's right there. However, that is also the best way to have a positive impact on the world. Because if you're directly connected to the stuff you're doing, for instance, let's just stick with the food example for something. I ran out of my sentence there. But, going along with the food, if you are growing your own food, this is like the best way you can have food, is to grow it yourself. Because you can grow the food yourself, there's no transportation costs, you don't have to use fuel, all this stuff. And if you can do it without like pesticides and, paid for fertilizers and stuff, it's even better. And you can't do that on like a factory farm kind of scale, but on a small scale, you can totally do that. You can compost your stuff and build good soil and use that to grow your stuff. And it takes longer to get started doing that way. But then once you get it going, you can eat the food and it's healthier for you because it doesn't have all the poisons and stuff. And then when you're done eating the food, you take your food scraps and put them back into your compost to refuel the food that's going to come next. And you can stick your pee and your poo out in there, and you can have a symbiotic relationship with the earth when you're actually directly connected to it. So yeah, I think the best way to have a positive impact on the world around you is to have like that direct connection where you are manipulating the world around you a lot directly yourself, not just kind of outsourcing it to things you can't see, because then you don't know what's happening. Then there's often a good chance that for example, you're getting your food from some place that just dumps like thousands of gallons and tons of poison all over your food to keep the bugs from eating it, and then you get it, and it's still got a bit of that poison in it, and you're eating it, and then you get cancer when you're 50 and you don't know why. I don't wish cancer upon anyone. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, try to live healthy. Anyway, okay, I'm not going to keep going on about that. I think I've said enough. Hopefully that addresses what that guy was talking about. So you want to know what I've been up to lately? Last week I was talking about this bridge I wanted to build, right? And if we turn this right over here, I'm going to try not to mess this up. Oh, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bridge pieces. This is looking at them on the edge. So, kind of like this. And they're shaped like this. Although not as thick as this wood block one. So I currently have 10 of those made, and that's all the pieces I need. I was originally going to do 9. Ooh, also today, I brought a drawing thing, so I can draw things if I'm talking about something and then I want to give some visual aids. So I've got these. You know what? First, let's do this. I've got another visual aid for this bridge project. Last week I showed these blocks I had, and I only had 2 of them at the time because the kids were playing with them and I don't know where they all were. So now I've got all 6 blocks. So this is a scale model, roughly, of the bridge I'm going to build. And I think the blocks are not going to necessarily be connected together. It's going to have dirt on the sides holding it in, and then dirt over the top, and the dirt should keep enough pressure on the sides to keep it from collapsing. My kids have been playing with this like crazy last week, which I think is great because they're learning about arches and bridges and stuff. So I want to build my bridge like this. However, I made my blocks 4 feet across. So 4 feet across this way, and I want to have a 6-foot wide bridge. So let's make a little drawing here. Okay, so this isn't an accurate drawing because the bridge has been flattened out where the each block is. You wouldn't really be able to see these ends if I drew it correctly. But we go like this. Okay, so here I've got a full block and then a half block, right? So if I did this the whole way and just went like this, right, like this and like that, it would need nine total pieces, I think, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. However, I want the bottom piece to stick out further, because that's the one that's going to have the most dirt up against it. So the dirt can kind of come down and slope down like that. You know, kind of come like that. So I'm going to put 2 whole pieces along the bottom. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, 10 pieces. Okay, good. So I've made 10 bridge pieces. And I guess I just need to let them harden for a few days. So the bottom row is going to be like this. Like this. And then they're going to get, hold on. Oh, good falling. All right, so the bottom row will be like that, and the next row will be thinner. Well, it'll be like 1.5, but whatever. So that way the dirt can come down at a slope like this, right? Because I want to have this big dirt path coming out. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense, clear as dirt. And I've got 10 of those pieces made now, which is great because I finally liberated that spot on my floor that I've been using for styrocrete, that I was using to build my my kitchen island thing, and then these pieces, and now I finally got the floor back. Let's see. So I'm going to get to some questions here because I just talked for 22 minutes and ignored a bunch of stuff. So let's see what everyone's talking about. Dallas has a question. I commented on your most recent video about getting a video of your morning routine. Oh, I was wondering if we could get one. Thanks, brother. Love you. I take it you're talking about morning exercises. Okay, let's put that on my paper. You know what? If anyone, usually people say things on here and I'm always like, I'm not going to remember that. But here, I'm actually going to write this down. Make a video about morning exercises. I could actually just do a live of morning exercises one day. Friday would probably be the best day. How are you doing?
You like potato pancakes?
I've got a weird visitor here who's asking me if I want potato pancakes. What are you doing in my house? Just kidding. What's up? I don't want one right now.
Okay.
Could I have a nibble of one just to taste
Yeah,
it?
that's what I mean.
Yeah, I'll take a nibble of a potato pancake. Okay. Make a video about morning exercises. Okay, environmental impact or physically? Well, I guess that's what I was talking about earlier. Environmental or physical impact, it's kind of the same. I don't know. I'm not sure the specifics of that question. Hey, Tomaters is here. Would you like to say hi to Tomaters? He's like your best bud and everything. Hey, that's pretty good. Potato pancakes, nice. Maybe the man, you do a lot of high impact exercise. I do actually do a lot of high impact exercise. And I have something to say about that. And now I have a piece of pancake in my mouth. Just hold on. Oh. So when I was working on building my house, I was doing everything low impact because I was just carrying around like buckets of concrete and yeah, mostly just buckets of concrete over and over and over every day, just buckets of concrete and mixing them. And I was also digging, moving dirt. And, you know, at the beginning, I was all energetic and could jump around and run around and stuff and do things fast. But then as the year went on, because I was working on this house for like 2 years, like, you know, like a year of landscaping stuff and then like a year of actually building with the concrete. But I started getting, you know, more and more tired as it went on. And I got to a point where I was just kind of slowly slugging along and, oh, hi.
Oh, hi there.
And, you know, not jumping around or running around or anything. All right, you guys, hey, you guys got to go out of here. And it got to the point where my body got so used to low impact because I was just moving slowly all the time, that when I was finally done, building my house, not that it's ever done, but I was basically done, I started running again. And the first day went great. The second day went pretty well, but by the end of the third day, my calves were just like knotting up, and pretty soon I just couldn't run at all. And I figured out that it was just my body had become not used to high impact anymore. Because I used to do lots of running and stuff, on concrete and everything. And I also noticed that even just walking around on the concrete, like my feet hurt and stuff. So, and that was about a year ago that this was happening. I think a little less than a year ago. So I started doing more high impact exercises, just kind of like slowly. I can't eat anymore because then I'm sitting, she's offering me more pancakes. Go away with your pancakes. I'll eat some later. Okay, I love you, great. So I started doing more high impact exercises, just real slowly at first. And at first they were brutal, man. Like trying to hop on one foot was really hard, partly because I'd just done that running and gotten my calves all locked up. So just like trying to hop on one foot was really hard. But I thought, okay, I just need to do this for a few months and just slowly build up to get my tendons and bones and everything all strong again. And I started doing a bunch of stuff I used to do when I ran track and field, like track and field warm-ups and stuff, which are kind of high impact, but that's because you have to get your body really warmed up and ready for high impacts when you're going to be running full speed. And at first that was really brutal too, but maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, I kind of got to the point where I can really like exercise hard again on the concrete. And I did this all in bare feet on the concrete so I could get used to it. And today, like I can sprint around and jump up and down and do all the stuff on the concrete, and my legs are totally fine with it, which I'm very excited about, because I was a little bit worried that maybe I was, just old, because that always comes into my head. It's been coming into my head for like, I don't know, ever since I was like 30 years old. Every time I get some kind of stress injury or overuse thing, or I just can't handle something, I'm always like, oh no, maybe this is it. Maybe I've just gotten old. But no, I just had to, get my body high impact again. And now it's great, totally fine. So I'm actually adding some more high impact things to my morning exercise. Anyway, I'll have to do a morning exercise video. Bridges not made of stainless steel. Yeah, bridges should be made of, so many things that are made out of regular steel should be made out of stainless steel. Like once we figured out stainless steel, we should have been doing that. But doesn't make sense financially, because we can't make as many useless jobs of people repairing things for no reason, We shouldn't have so many people doing so many useless jobs. Middlemen just repairing things that shouldn't have broken in the first place, or any of those kind of jobs. We should have people focusing on just improving, like inventing new things, not just constantly administrating and repairing. Because when you're just administrating and repairing, you're going to end up with this crumbling infrastructure which we have today. What was your first paycheck job and your last? I think my first paycheck job, I might be missing one. I feel like I'm probably missing one. But I had a landscaping job, which did not pay much at all. The job was pretty fun though. I liked it. Maybe fun's the wrong word. But I got to be outside, and we were actually I did a lot of interlocking patio kind of stuff. At first the guy had me mowing lawns a little, and that was just tedious and boring, and oh my god, I wanted to blow my brains out. But then he took me on this one job where we were doing, like we were making interlocking driveway, like an interlocking brick driveway. And we went there, dug out the area where we were putting it, Oh no, I know what it was. It wasn't a driveway. It was kind of like a driveway, but like at the back of the house, like a back patio. So we had to dig out, I don't know, that much dirt, and then fill it with gravel, like fine gravel, and then pack it all down, and then make sure it was all level and perfect, and then we could lay these interlocking bricks all over. And he was pretty happy with my performance on that. I remember he was saying when I was digging, he was like, "Damn man, don't you run out of energy? This is supposed to be like a 2-week job. We're going to be done in 4 days." And I was like, "Wow, I like to exercise. I want to keep going." So he just started taking me on all those jobs all the time. That was a pretty fun job. Did not pay well, but I did like it. And my last like paycheck job. Oh, it might have been. Well, I was lifeguard at a pool for a while, a swimming pool in Vermont. That might have been it.
No,
It was the food stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, Deshane is telling me, she's at my house right now. She's telling me it was the food stuff. So,
you were a sample lady.
yeah, I was a food sample lady. This job was amazing. It did not pay much. What did it pay, like $8 an hour or something?
It paid pretty well, but
No, it was not that much. It did not pay that much.
yeah, it was like $8 to $10.
Yeah, it was like $8 to $10 an hour, which was way more than I was getting doing landscaping, but that was ages ago. Anyway, so this food sample, when you go to the grocery store and there's a food sample lady there handing out food samples? Yeah, I was a food sample lady. And like I said, it didn't pay much, but I always got to take home any leftover food samples. So it was amazing. I mean, I got so many cool snacks, and Deshana did the same job. So we would often try to schedule ourselves to work at the same grocery store. And after doing some crappy samples, like I did this horrible energy drink thing that was disgusting. Oh.
Life water.
And after that, we decided, okay, we're only going to do food sample things for things we actually like things we would eat ourselves. So we'd go and do food samples of like fancy organic snacks or chocolate chip cookies or pizzas. Oh man, the pizza one was amazing. And there was also a food sample thing where we had to go to the grocery store and actually cook a meal on this cart. It was, it was a cart with like all the stuff you'd need to cook a meal, and then hand samples of it out. And we'd always make sure that we made a new batch with like 15 minutes left in the day, because then, we'd just take home a huge batch of it for dinner and like maybe lunch the next day. So yeah, even though the food sample lady job did not pay that well, it did pay well in just the food snacks. And one of my favorite ones was cheese. There was one time when I did food samples of cheese, and it was all these different like fancy expensive cheeses that I would never buy. And I came home with boxes of all this really fancy cheese, and it was amazing for months. Just like cheese. Oh, it was great. And yeah, there were a bunch of things like that where I came home with tons of food. Hello, Jaimie, Frederick. 12 minutes. I'm not sure what 12 minutes is. Well, 12 mine is not too much unless you're underwater. Or, well, yes. I think I missed something. Okay. So whenever I'm reading the comments, at the beginning, I'm always a little bit behind because I, do a morning monologue, whatever. Hello, Tomaters. Okay. Time changed, so I have come to the show early. Have to remember that. Oh, the time changed. Yeah, our time doesn't change in Panama. Hey, Deshana?
Yep.
We don't have a time zone change in Panama, right?
No, we don't. And
Yeah.
The time zone changed today.
Yeah, the time zone does not change here, which is great, because I don't have to pay attention to it. Not that I know what time it is ever anyway, but, whatever. Video quality looks amazing, by the way. Here, you want to come see in the video quality for a second? That's great. Yes, it does. Video looks great. Excellent. When I heard high impact, I thought about your use of concrete and fiberglass and stainless steel. High energy use substances. Yes, but long lasting, that your total impact is is not really so much. Yes, I didn't mention that because, I talk about that like all the time. So you should show me that later. So yeah, I use materials like concrete, for example, which is pretty energy intensive. Actually, this brings up another thing that I wanted to mention in my morning monologue that I totally forgot about. So I'm using concrete to build with, and it does take a lot of energy to make the concrete, but it's worth it because it lasts so long. So in the long term, it ends up using less energy than, say, building a house out of wood and having to rebuild it, 40 times in the amount of time that this concrete's going to last. But another, I do have much more negative impact than I wish I had, because I'm kind of starting from scratch. Like a lot of people, you turn 25 or whatever, you get shoved out of school with a bunch of debt, or maybe you were smart enough to escape in high school and didn't have a bunch of debt. But either way, it's like, okay, go do life now, start from scratch, and you have no idea what you're doing. You don't have any real resources. It's just like you're just kind of stuck with either accepting what's out there in the world, or you have to reject things and start yourself from scratch. And this is where inheritance would come in very useful. So I'm buying concrete, or like cement, and that means the cement has to be made somewhere and shipped somewhere and all this stuff. But I actually have all the resources right around me to make my own concrete. If you want to look up how to do that, just look up seashells to concrete, and making it into quicklime and stuff like that. Basically, you just take seashells, or if you're not near the sea, limestone. They're made out of the same thing. Limestone, seashells. You heat it up enough, and it basically turns into cement. I mean, this is a very stripped down version of it. There's a little more to it, but not much. Now, I hope to get to a point where I'm actually doing that myself, and I can do it in a sustainable way where I'll do it with wood, and I'll just use wood that's fallen down, and that way it's sustainable because the wood is growing faster than I'm burning it, right? And you can do all that kind of stuff on a small scale, but once you get on a big scale, you're just using too much energy at once. You just have to start destroying everything around you. But on a small scale, you can do it in a way that is sustainable. Now, the reason I'm not doing that yet is because, like I said, I'd start from scratch. Like, I have to take some shortcuts to get ahead and actually have a building made where I can live. So I can start setting up things like, a lumber mill and a place like a setup for making my own concrete out of shells and, all that kind of stuff. Now, if I had parents who had set up a bunch of that kind of stuff and maybe helped me get land and helped me build a house when I was younger, I could have had a huge head start, and then I could spend more of my lifetime trying to improve on all that stuff instead of starting from scratch. And I think that's a huge thing that's underrated in our society today. So every generation, in modern civilization, the parents basically say to their kids, okay, get out and go and do your thing, you're on your own now. And I think that's a mistake, because it means you can't build on the previous generation's stuff. Like, everyone has to keep starting from scratch. So for example, in my case, now I'm like almost 50, right? And I'm still kind of setting up the things I want to do to live. Hold on a second. Hey, what is going on over there? Well, calm down. Crazy kids right now. You watch this. I'm gonna be a dad for a minute. Hold on. If you dang kids can't shut your faces, I'm gonna have to kick you out. Okay. So anyway, this is something I want to do for my kids. So, obviously people always mention there's no guarantee your kids are going to stay there. There's no guarantee that the Earth is going to be here next week. There's no guarantee of anything. Fine, granted. But I want to have a place set up where my kids can start not from scratch. So hopefully by the time my kids are, building their own house and stuff, maybe they'll be able to make their own cement with seashells and all that. And maybe they'll already have, trees growing that are producing food. Because, again, I had to start food production from scratch, which means I have to plant a whole bunch of trees. And, people always ask me every week, how are your trees doing? How are your trees doing? Your fruit trees? They're doing great. It just takes years. You gotta put that whole investment in years. But I really want to have. Oh, my 2-year-old wants the blocks. Here, you can have them right here. Whatever. She can play with them now that I've thinking them. Anyway, so I want my kids to already have fruit trees growing and a lot of food stuff. Hopefully, by the time they're at the point where they want to build houses, they, I'll be growing all our food and everything, and then they can just build off that and continue and improve it from there. Let's see. There's always the danger of stubbing a toe. There is. Roman centurions used to lead legions on the front lines well into their 60s. Yeah. You know what? I keep hearing people tell me that they can't do things because of their age. And you know what? Maybe you can't do things because of your age. At some point you're going to get too old and die. But what is the point of just deciding you're done at a certain age? Nah, man, go full speed. Life will stop you when it's ready to stop. You don't have to stop yourself. The world is, you're going to fall apart at some point. There's no reason to do it prematurely because you just decide or accept that you're old. I plan to be, I don't know, I'm just going to keep going as long as everything's fine. And so far, I'm 47. I'm almost 50. And I can do everything I could do when I was 20. Let me think. No, there's some. I don't have as much hair on my head, so I could not mop the floor as well with the top of my head. So, okay, there are a few things. But generally speaking, I'm as strong as I was before. A few more wrinkles and stuff. But yeah, there's no reason to just accept oldness prematurely. How much more do you think a stainless steel bridge would cost, and how long is the payoff? Well, from what I understand, stainless steel costs roughly 4 times what regular steel does. And a stainless steel bridge will last way longer than 4 times. So that makes it financially viable. The reason it's not financially viable is because all the people making bridges are only planning for things to go well up to the next election cycle, like until they're not in office anymore or whatever, And this is one of the problems, like our society. It's just like we want quick results immediately, and we don't care about the future. And now we're at the point where so much of our infrastructure is collapsing because of that attitude that people are starting to be like, what's going on, man? What's going on? Anyway. I was thinking about getting a chainsaw to cut boards off an oak tree that just fell. Any recommendations? Well, if you're getting a chainsaw, hold on a second. Hey, could you guys turn it down? Thanks. Man, last week they were great, and the week before that, no problem too. Okay, if you want to get a chainsaw, if you just have one tree and you might use it once in a while, obviously don't get $1,000 chainsaw. But I would totally recommend either a steel or a Husqvarna chainsaw. Just get the small one. I have a and I love it. It's really great. Actually, stay away from steel chainsaws because they started making them cheap. This is what I've heard from some lumberjack guys anyway. So maybe take this with a grain of salt. But I've heard that Stihl, S-T-I-H-L, started making their regular people chainsaws really cheap. So their professional chainsaws are still good, but they're the ones that you would buy as just a normal person are not good. So yeah, I would go with a Husqvarna. And that was actually one of the reasons I bought a Husqvarna. I was buying kind of a higher end chainsaw, so it might not matter anyway, but I can't respect a company that's doing that kind of crap. But Husqvarna, I haven't heard anything. The other option is, you can build something. It'd be crazy. But it's probably not worth building something for like one tree. And something that I might just use once in a while. Rusty steel is carbon steel, which has a much higher tensile strength than stainless. Carbon steel is generally more expensive than stainless when used in high tensile situations. Okay. This gets into a bunch of details that don't make sense. Okay. Rusty steel doesn't have to be, I mean, there's formulations of steel are there's so many different ones. But I'm just going to say that you could build pretty much anything out of stainless steel that you can build with, high carbon steel, low carbon steel, You might have to change the design a little bit and, screw around with some stuff a bit, but it can be done. It's not like it can't be done. Doesn't Porsche make a stainless steel car frame? After people told me like 10,000 times, you can't build a car frame out of stainless steel. And I was like, why not? Of course you could. And then finally someone who owns a Porsche, he's like, oh, my Porsche has a stainless steel car frame. That's why I bought it. Let's see. Good night, Tomaters. Good night. It's morning here. I was going to say, I don't think Tomaters is in a nighttime place, but yeah, he's only the last 80 years has the idea of your children making everything from scratch was the norm. Yeah, isn't that, it's totally insane. And that's one of the huge problems with the world today, is why we're kind of going downhill, is that we're making every generation restart, and they have to go through they have to spend all this energy and all these resources just to get their head above water, and then they can start living. And a lot of people go through their whole life without even really catching up. It's like they're just scrambling and struggling along. But back in the day, like pioneers would go and start a farm somewhere, like a homestead, and then their kids would get the farm, and they'd build another house on their land, and every new generation would have more to start with, and then they just build on that, and over several generations they build like a really amazing place, amazing way of life. They build traditions and all this stuff, and we're losing all that by making everyone just start from scratch all the time. For the last 30,000 years of human existence, integrational wealth was the norm. Yeah, totally. You're selling your family short if every generation you just make them start from scratch. You should be creating something that your children can then build on, and their children, and you end up creating something that one generation couldn't create on their own. That's how you get the really good life. Now, in our culture where everyone's thinking, I need everything snappy, quick, I want it right now. People are just not thinking about future generations, because they're like, well, I'm not going to be there, so what do I care? But the thing is, you may not be there, but if you get something from the previous generation, you would benefit from it now. You're not going to benefit from the things you send to the future generation, but those future people will. And then they'll get that, and then they can, it's like, pay it forward or something? Like, yeah, you gotta have that kind of attitude to get good stuff in your life. And maybe a lot of people are kind of in a situation where they got kicked out of the house and they're like told, go start from scratch. And they feel like, why am I gonna be the one to do everything for the next generation when the previous generation didn't do it for me? I think that's where a lot of people are, and that's the way a lot of people are thinking about it. But maybe you should think about it this way. I can be the start of something incredible. And 10 generations from now, they can look back and say, oh yeah, this whole thing started with great grandpa Jaimie or Joe or whoever you are. And maybe you can think about it that way. Then you're kind of getting something out of it. Either way, if you just want to be greedy and just think about the right now, we're screwed. And the only way for humans to really thrive into the future is to actually think about the future and plan for it, not just waste everything right now. We need to build things through the generations. All right, let's see. Oh, this is an interesting question. Do you ever visit with your family? Do the kids know their aunts, uncles, grandparents, etc.? Um, well, my family is kind of weird. I mean, it's not weird. It's like a lot of families today. We just didn't really stick together. Like when I was growing up, my parents divorced, and then we were always told, "Oh, you're all gonna go off on your own and do your own thing," and no one told us. I was one of 5 siblings. No one told us, your siblings are important. And I didn't know how important my siblings were until we'd all, spread away from each other. And kind of my whole family's like that. They're just spread out all over the place. So, yeah, my family was just never close like that. And that's one of the things I really want to change about my family now, is I want everyone to be close. I want them to always have a home here and all that. So, kind of when I left North America, I didn't feel like I was leaving a lot behind. Yeah, I left my family behind, but it's like that we weren't parts of each other's lives anyway, And my kids talk with their grandma, my mom, sometimes just, on the internet, Skyping or whatever. I don't know what they use today. No one uses Skype anymore. That's like what people used to use. But, video calls and stuff like that. And my brother came to visit here twice, but I think there's a good chance I won't see him again in my lifetime. So yeah, there's a good chance I'm not going to see any of my, my family for the rest of my life. I mean, maybe one of my cousins. I was talking to one of my cousins recently, and she said she wanted to visit. I need a membership. Let's see. I could always visit him, right? Yes, my family could visit me. And, this, it just made me think of something. So I have this one sister, and she visited me once in Vermont, partly because it was not far from where she lived. It was like a day drive. Not a whole day, but, like a day of driving, basically. And I was talking about wanting to buy an island somewhere, and she was, I was saying, well, maybe Nova Scotia, which is kind of a cold part of Canada, and maybe, I named a few other places, and she was like, oh, I'm not visiting Nova Scotia. It's cold, and on an island it'd be terrible. And I was like, well, what if I get a tropical island? And she's like, oh yeah, I will totally be there. But I don't think she's coming to visit. Maybe one of my parents will come one day. That would be kind of cool, but I don't know. There's lots of love for tomaters today, which is excellent. Thumbs up, everyone. Oh, thumbs up, everyone. It helps the channel. Does it, Mr. Landfill? I actually don't know anything about this thumbs up stuff. But great. Statistically speaking, Jaimie will live to be over 100 years old. Is that like when you go through the list of stuff and it's like exercises, doesn't smoke, eats healthy, and then like at the end you get a estimated age thing? I'm aiming for 300,000 years old. That's when I want to die, when I'm 300,000. That's what I'm aiming for. You're better at reflecting sunlight. Me? Am I better? I might have missed something here. I had a stroke about 2 years ago. Oh man, and recovering and feeling better. That sucks, having a stroke. I hope you're actually getting better. Regular steel is a bit of a misnomer. There's about 1,000 types of steel as it is an alloy. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. John Doe just let us know. Yeah, there isn't really a regular steel. Like if I think of regular steel, it's basically like iron with maybe 0.5% of carbon somewhere in there, maybe a little less than that, but like almost totally iron and just a bit of carbon would be the kind of the most basic steel. But yeah, the steel is like lots of iron and then a little of various different things. There's a lot of different varieties. An example of stainless being cheaper is knives. Stainless steel knives are almost always less expensive than carbon steel knives. But You can literally chop wood with carbon steel. So knives are funny. Um, and I learned a little bit about this when I was doing forging years ago. There's kind of this saying, maybe not a saying, but basically, you know how when you go to a and the mechanic is like, okay, you can have cheap, good, or fast. You can only pick two. You can't have all three. Well, steel is kind of like that. You can have, it keeps a good edge. It's easy to sharpen, or is stainless. You can have two of those three, but it's really kind of hard to get all three. And maybe flexibility is in there or something. But yeah, just anyway. Oh, Samuel Chamel says Husqvarna all day. He also likes Husqvarna. Yeah, I'm very happy with my Husqvarna chainsaw. So did my video freeze? Wait, there's something I did to this before to unfreeze it. Oh yeah. Haha. I switched the camera back and forth and then it fixes it. Okay. Jaimie, oh yeah, next time that happens, someone needs to remember to tell me. Just switch the camera. Okay, do you miss the snow? You know, if there was one thing I miss about the cold, yeah, the snow's fun. However, I wouldn't take the snow over an all-year growing season. So I guess I don't really miss it because I haven't thought about it in a long time until someone said. But snow is pretty fun. I mean, I love building snow forts ever since I was a little kid. Like, I don't know, I was really young when I built the first one. I was like 6 years old or something. I built my first igloo. And it took me like a whole week to build the thing. And ever since then, every winter I would build an igloo and I got better and better at them. And the first one was not very good, but I started building like really nice igloos, and I'd have snowball fights. I would build all kinds of stuff out of snow. I used to build like platforms so I could jump off the roof onto the platform without killing myself and have a slide down. Yeah, snow is super fun, but I would definitely take the all year growing season. And I can swim every day, not in the freezing water, which is kind of amazing. You know, I grew up in Canada, and when you live in Canada, pretty much, like even in the summer, the water is generally kind of cold. So you jump in the water and you go, and then you can swim around and warm up. But here, the water's it's like getting in a bathtub. Not too hot. I mean, it's still refreshing to get in, but like it still kind of weirds me out when I just get in the water and it's like, oh, it feels fine. I'm not hyperventilating or anything. Yeah, I would take that over the snow. But snow is pretty awesome. Thanks. Some people are saying thanks. Waste not, want not. Well, I think you typoed that. Waste not, want not is how they had resources over time. We collected and shared with our community. Only together do we grow into prosperity. We each specialize in a trade or profession and trade. Well, I would disagree with that last part a little bit. There are definitely people, you know, historically who would specialize in specific trades, but there are also a lot of people who would just learn learn how to, what's the word? Like just learn how to do things in general, like learn how to problem solve. Maybe that is a specialization, you know, just learning how to problem solve. And that's like if you're gonna live off grid today, probably the best skill you could have is just learning how to problem solve. Like learn how to look at any situation where you might possibly hire a specialist, but just look at it and just solve it yourself, you know? I kind of wish Jaimie was some sort of minister and engineer on a grand scale. Yeah. Not sure what to say about that. That would be cool. I mean, for a lot of reasons that I was talking about earlier. And I always kind of hope that doing these videos, I can have a more wide-reaching effect, you know, influence on the world. But I don't personally want to get to a point kind of in charge of a huge, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I could be in charge of a huge thing, but it would have to be like very connected to the earth. And I don't want to have, I don't know. That's another one of those comments where maybe next week I'll have like something to say about it. Look, this video stopped again. What is going on here? Alright, I remember how to fix it at least. I'm not sure if the video is stopping for anyone else, but mine got stuck. If you lived on a farm, could start a little business like egg business or canning. Hi, bud. Greetings from Greece. Yeah, I could sell eggs. I don't think I'd want to sell eggs though. I think probably I'd rather do a business of building things or maybe even repairing things. But one of the things about having a homestead is your expenses get low enough that you don't have to have like a job, like a full-time job. It's like you can get a little bit of money here and there doing things, which is the reason that I can live off what I'm making from doing videos and stuff. It's not because I make a lot of money doing the videos. I mean I'm definitely below the poverty line, like way below the poverty line. But my expenses are so low because I do so much myself, and a lot of things I could spend money on, instead I just spend my own human effort on. So money becomes less of a factor. But yeah, there's all kinds of jobs you can do. Let's see. Absolutely heartbreaking. Feel for you. I think that was about Jeff, who had a stroke. Man. Episode 30 already. Time moves fast. Yeah, I know, eh? That means it's been like, I do one of these every week, so 30 weeks I've been doing this already. Someone asked Jaimie, does he have any inventions patented? Okay, somebody asked me that. Or I can just to the question there. Okay, so when I worked with a toy company making these things called arachnids, which I think should have been called spider tanks, but whatever. They patented several of my things. So, my name was on the patent, and then it was licensed to them. So they were my patents. I had a patent for the design of the walking mechanism thing. And I also had a patent for the Explodo armor. That's what I called it. And it was like basically this little armor thing that kind of clips in place and something shoots it and it flies off. And a couple other things. But yeah, nothing. I'm not really that into patents, personally. It was useful then because they were making the toys and, didn't want somebody to just steal it and copy it. Anyway, Allie and I want to hang with you for sure. Are you talking to me? Who's Allie and I? Or was this part of a conversation that I missed? Anyway, wait a minute. This is someone I know. Lindsay C. Is that? And is Allie my one cousin? Okay, I might know who that is. That's funny, because you're spelling your name weird, so I didn't know it was you. If it is who I think it is. How do you celebrate Christmas, or do you? Generally for holidays here, we don't really make a big deal. If I have something I want to give to my kids, I just give it to them whenever. Although, occasionally I'll do save something for a special occasion or whatever. Like I made my son some toy trucks for his birthday and for something else. So I'll do little things like that. But we don't really make a big huge deal about holidays. My daughters make a bigger deal. So we just had Halloween, and my daughters decorated the house with Halloween stuff. And probably for Christmas, they'll get out all kinds of stuff and decorate the house and have some kind of thing. But yeah, we don't really make a big deal. I guess I do kind of sometimes make a point of just being around, and probably for Christmas, I'll not plan to get much work done, and I'll just kind of hang out with my kids. So maybe during holidays I just kind of hang out with my kids more. But I hang out with my kids a lot anyway. Let's see. Someone peeking over the sheet behind you. That was Bellatrix. Yeah. Hi, Jaimie. Obviously, you don't take after anyone in your family. Who influenced you to be so different? I guess that's kind of the thing about being different is you end up having...
I built my helicopter.
Oh, let me see your helicopter, dude.
The turtle's driving
Ooh,
it.
that's a cool helicopter. It's got a turtle in there.
The turtle's driving it.
So, Car Canyon, who influenced your dad to be so weird?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Maybe a rock.
Oh, you think my daughter influenced me to be a weirdo? go play with. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't really have anyone that I looked up to. I always kind of wished I did, but yeah, it was like everyone around me I just did not click with the people around me. And I'm trying to think of like cartoon characters or something that I connected with, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess I just always felt like I just had to go in this direction, and nobody else I knew was going in this direction, which was one of the reasons I started making these videos, because I thought there's going to be some other kid who, wants to go in this direction and maybe doesn't have anyone in their life, and then they can watch these and, kind of get a little bit of inspiration here and there. But yeah, there's no one who really influenced me. I just remember feeling very alone when I was growing up. Like there was no one that I could connect with. He did build an original giant robot from scratch. I did. How about a sand battery? What's the story with these sand batteries? I saw something about a sand battery, but I don't know anything about it. What's a sand battery? Someone let me know. Or, you know what? I'm gonna write it down. My pad of paper here. I've got do a video of morning exercises and look up sand battery. All right, I'm going to look that up after. If someone feels like putting a little description of a sand battery down in the comments here, that'd be cool too. An hour late because time changed, everyone. Oh, it's Joe Blow. How's it going, man? Hey, Jaimie. Happy 30th episode. Oh, charging us with awesome emotions. Oh, yes. Thank you. Keep it up. I will do my best, Georgie. I'm glad you appreciate it. Ain't nothing like a healthy dose of mad genius in the morning. Ah, shucks. When I was working for the toy company making those robot toys, I was talking to the one guy and he was like, "Oh, we should get you a business card. What would you want on your business card?" And I was like, "Just put mad scientist." And he was like, "Oh, we can't do that. That's crazy. We don't think you're mad." And I was like, "Dude, I'll take it. Mad scientist." Are you going to take on Oliver Reed role in Castaway, fixing stuff for a living? Take on Oliver Reed role in Castaway. Was Castaway the movie with Tom Hanks? I feel like I'm missing something. I'm totally not remembering some piece of something, but I might not have seen the correct movie or something. This like Sunday morning service at the Church of Jaimie. Economically speaking, this homestead idea is completely viable. Yes, economically speaking, a homestead idea is still, to this day, totally economically viable. Largely because you reduce your financial need. Although I do know people who have tried homesteading on a very high financial need kind of basis, and they always run into a lot of difficulties. Like they run out of money, and I'm always trying to say, no, you don't do it like presuming you're going to keep spending the amount of money that you've been spending through your life. Like every penny you spend should be geared toward not needing more pennies. So if you, for instance, buy a tree, and then you plant it, and then you get food, and then you don't have to buy the food, Or if you build a house, spend the money that you need for the materials or whatever to build the house, but make the house something to last. So you don't need, money for maintenance and all that kind of stuff. So it's totally economically viable in the circumstance where you're trying to reduce your financial needs. Yes, my cousin Allison. That is Lindsay, isn't it? Linster, what are you doing? Oh, I'm your cool cousin's boyfriend. Oh, okay. Well, we'll have to say hi. Yeah, Allison's cool. You guys should totally come visit, although it's not close or anything. Festivus could be an adventure builder club holiday. Festivus, wasn't that was from some TV show. I don't watch TV, so I don't remember now what it was from. Question. Ooh, we got a question. We got a question here. Oh, everybody get ready. Did your daughters go for cute or scary with their Halloween decorations? Okay, well, they dressed up. What do you mean they didn't? Someone's telling me they didn't do decorations. They dressed up. That's decorations. Okay, so my oldest daughter was Tinkerbell, so that would have been cute. My next daughter was a vampire, so that was scary, and she had like a little black cape. She looked a lot like Mavis.
She was Mavis.
Oh, she was Mavis? She was Mavis from Hotel Transylvania. It was like one of those animated things. Adam Sandler did the voice of Dracula, and David Spade did the voice thing in there, and Steve Buscemi, like a bunch of silly guys did the voices for all the characters. I actually thought it was a pretty good movie overall. And then my son was Captain America, and my daughter was a dog. And I didn't actually get to see her with your ears on. But anyway.
She was a puppy.
Oh, she was a puppy. Sorry, not a dog.
Baby dog.
Classic dude, Mike. Every day is an adventure builder club day when you have adventures and build things. Yeah, every day is an adventure builder day. That's right. We don't need a specific adventure builder day. Every day is adventure builder day. I always thought that when they had, Earth Day and everyone was supposed to be environmentally friendly, I'd always think like, wait, no, do that every day. Okay. Let's keeping up with what's going on. Am I religious? I am not religious. Unless you're talking about religiously doing something. I do religiously exercise, and I religiously try to do the best I can. You could actually call the Adventure Builder Club philosophy a religion. So I guess if you call that a religion, then yes, I am very religious. But I don't have any religion that involves any sort of belief. And that is because, well, I guess there are two reasons. One is because I don't need to believe in anything that's real for it to be real. So there's I don't see any reason to believe in anything or believe anything. Because I don't have to believe it. And the other thing is one of my core values, one of my core virtues or principles is honesty. And this is not to be confused with honor, which is like telling the truth. Honesty is having the truth within yourself, observing the truth, keeping an open mind and all that kind of stuff. And you can't keep an open mind and observe things in an unbiased way if you already believe something, because that's like a preconceived notion. So it would be like looking at the world through a filter of your beliefs. So I don't have any beliefs, which is confusing for some people. But when you get used to living without any kind of beliefs, you just kind of realizing that it's fine. I'm just floating here in this universe, and stuff is happening. It may continue to happen. It may not continue to happen. I'm just going with it, man. I'm going with it. And if there is a God who's going to judge me, then he can judge me that on the idea that I'm doing my best. And if that's not good enough for him, well, then that's not a good God. Is Bellatrix named after a star in Orion's belt? Partially, yes. So, whoa, it's an airplane. So when we were naming our kids, here you go. I don't remember exactly how this started, but we decided we should name them an A name, a B name, a C name. We skipped a D because Deshana, and then an E name. So we were naming them alphabetically kind of because one day we may become old and senile, and this will help kind of keep them organized. All right, get out of here, mister. That one's C. Anyway, so we had this idea. Wait, take it somewhere else because it's squeaky. Go. So we started with Aurora, and we were like, let's name them alphabetically, but only if we can come up with good names. So we were like, Aurora. Oh, that's a good A name. Let's go with it. And then when Bellatrix came along, we were like, well, do we have a good B name? What's a good B name? And there's Bellatrix, the star, and I have to admit this. The reason Bellatrix first came up was because we saw one of the Harry Potter movies with Bellatrix Lestrange, and they were like, well, that's kind of a cool B name. What else is Bellatrix? And then it's, Bellatrix is a star, and it also means female warrior in some language. I don't remember. But anyway, we were like, yeah, cool name. So that's a good B name. And then Carcanyon, his name came from a dream I had a long time ago. Like when I was a kid, I had this dream about a friend that I had whose name was Carcanyon. And he was actually a car, and we were hanging out in right beside a canyon. But when I woke up from the dream, I was like, Carcanyon, that's a good name. I need to give that to someone one day. And he likes his name. And then the 2-year-old over there, her name is Eritrea. And Deshana did that one at the hospital without consulting me. I think it was because I named Carcanyon. Well, we kind of both named the first 2 girls, and then I named Carcanyon. And then she was like, well, I get to name the next one then. So, well, we talked about it a little, but I didn't know where the name came from or anything. Anyway, doesn't matter. Sand battery, a stove. I don't know what that means. Sand battery, saving summer heat for winter. Oh, a sand battery just like for storing heat. That kind of sand battery. Maybe I should look into that more. But I'm not in a place where I'd have to store heat. The weather's just, I'm close enough to the equator that the weather's just always pretty much the same. I mean, it rains, sometimes it's rainier or cloudier or sunnier or whatever, but there's no significant temperature change. I'm really worried about the advancement of AI. Are you? Have you seen Stable Diffusion? I do not know what you're talking about with Stable Diffusion. However, yeah, artificial intelligence is an issue. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I can't really do much about all the people programming AI. I think the best way to deal with AI would be to show AI a good example. Because if artificial intelligence, like some computers, looked at the way we treat each other now, I think it would logically deduce that it doesn't matter how humans are treated, that humans are kind of trash, because we treat ourselves like trash, and we treat our environment like trash, and we're just like, if I was either aliens or a computer or somehow looking in at us, I would be like, those creatures don't even care about their own existence, so we can wipe them out. It doesn't really matter. But I think we'd have a much better chance of surviving the judgment or whatever, or the reactions of artificial intelligence, or aliens for that matter, if we showed a better example ourselves and we're kind of somehow more valuable. There is, of course, a chance that AI will look at us and just say, well, there's an interesting thing, this humans, let's just not mess with it. Let's go do something else somewhere else. But of course, there's always the chance that artificial intelligence, the moment it has the ability to exponentially grow its understanding of the universe, will just decide to wipe us out because we're not valuable. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I just have to proceed as if it's going to be all right. And we'll see. Did you see the Honeydew channel about Air Creek? Keep up this wonderful channel. We all love it. So that honeydew, the honeydew carpenter guy, I have seen a little bit of one of his videos once where he was making aircrete and building a shed, I think. But I didn't see that much about it. I saw enough to like get the idea of how to make, styrocrete and stuff. Not styrocrete, I mean aircrete. But I ended up choosing to build with styrocrete because, well, there were two reasons. One, it doesn't shrink when it dries, and the aircrete shrinks when it dries. And maybe that's been worked out and fixed and everything. But the other reason, the bigger reason, was that I kept finding all this styrofoam just floating around in the ocean when I'm driving around. And I still find it from time to time. So I started collecting all this styrofoam, just, a piece here and there, and I had this little mountain of styrofoam, and I was like, geez, I need to find something to do with styrofoam that's like a long-term use for it. That's not, because usually it just gets used once and thrown away, and if I can find some long-term use for it, that would take a huge amount of garbage out of the world and turn it into something useful. So I ended up, going with the styrocrete, which I've been very happy with, actually. I'm really happy with the styrocrete. Okay. Oh. Okay, okay. Oliver Reed was the first movie in Castaway, then later Tom Hanks did it. I remember seeing some of that. I don't know if I saw the whole movie or not, but I can now remember what Oliver Reed looks like and what he was. I remember part of the movie. Hey, quiet. Yeah, maybe I should watch that one again. The old Oliver Reed Castaway, because then I'll know what you're talking about. Yay, by a tree. Hey, Karina, how you doing? Jaimie reminds me of Eustace Conway. What is Eustace Conway? I'm gonna write this down. Eustace Conway. I'm gonna see who that is later. For a while, people kept saying I was like, oh, Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And for a long time, I had no idea who that was or anything. And then eventually I looked it up. And it's the guy from Pacific Rim. Best friend, LOL. Okay, I think we will visit one day for sure. Really? That's awesome. Yes, you and Allison should totally come visit. My place is awesome. It's super cool here. Bring your dad too, man. He would love this place. I don't know what he's doing though. He might be busy. Oh no. So John is not concerned about the AI at all. I think that's what he's talking about. He says, I for one welcome the advent of our new cybernetic overlords. I don't. Maybe we'll get AI and they'll quickly deduce that one creature or one being ruling over another being is a totally useless thing to do, and they'll figure out a way to make all people be free, which would be great. Which would also mean that everyone is free to succeed or fail, which is what a lot of people are afraid of with freedom. Full-scale assimilation. Plug my brain into the AI and use it to boost its CPU. I don't want to do that. Jaimie can do Homer Simpson's voice. I think, what's it, Hank Azaria? Isn't he the one who does it? He does a good job. Isn't he still around? Is that show ever going to stop? Last week someone said The Simpsons is still on. It's been on for like 30 years. I was wondering what you were going to do for your kitchen, and then you made a video about it. It is turning out really cool. Yeah, I'm super happy with my kitchen. It's really good. So it's got the whole top surface of tiles, and my two littlest kids sit on the lower set of tiles, which is like way up, and they eat on the higher part, and then I stand on the one side and eat on the higher part, and then my two older girls, they sit at the lower part. But the two little kids are the messiest ones. So they're sitting on tiles and eating on tiles above that level. So all of their food garbage ends up on tiles, so it's easy to clean off. So that works out really well. Have you ever seen The Great Egg Race? or the Science Shack. No, I don't know what that is. I guess I have not seen either. I believe in the hands attached to my wrist because they have never failed me. Yeah, but you don't have to believe in them because they're there. And whether or not you believe they're there, they're still there. Yeah, your belief in your hands is not necessary. Theistic religion is holding humanity back from discovering its full potential. I would agree with that. Yeah, the whole idea, I guess it just comes down to what I was saying earlier about having preconceived notions. You know, when you believe in whichever God, it doesn't matter which God, you believe in a certain God and certain truths that are inflexible. It means that you can't learn certain things because certain things are basically off limits because you already believe something to be true. And the worst part about this is that God always exists in the unknown for religious people. Like God takes care of all the unknown stuff. And that means anytime new information comes up, it's going to be something that was previously unknown and now we're learning. Then people who have these religions where they believe, they fight back. And this is why a lot of people throughout history have been murdered or thrown in jail by religious people who don't accept this new information that people are learning. So, and I don't want to beat up on people who have religions or anything. If you want to believe in God and that works for you and makes you feel better or somehow motivates you or whatever, great. I think there is a place for that. But when religion starts being aggressive and getting in the way of any kind of learning and is used as an excuse to kill people, basically, then it's just no good. And there are always people who are using religion to take money, to steal, to kill people, to force influence on others. And that's, yeah, just what you're saying. It's no good. Thinking American, I don't know about that. Maybe not at all. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Aurora, they make good rototillers. Oh, cool. Aurora is also one of my favorite singers. Aurora, who is one of your favorite singers? Aurora, my daughter, actually sings a lot. Whenever she's putting the baby to sleep, she sings all the time. Sand battery is like the molten salt stuff. Yeah, I don't know about the sand battery that much either. Sand battery storing heat to run generators. So a sand battery will store heat that well? I gotta look into this a little bit. That's cool. So many years watching your life. First time live. Oh, well, hello, Coastal Martigner. Oh, no. I'm Martinier. I'm going to say that totally wrong. Sorry. Have some fiat coins for you to invest in things that help you needing less fiat coins in the future. I will. Thank you. You are one of the biggest idols of my life. Oh, well, I mean, just going back to what I was saying earlier, I mean, that's kind of the biggest compliment I can get on this channel is, I started it when I started making this channel because I didn't have any good influences to look up to when I was a kid, and to have it working where I have some good influence on some people now. Yeah, that's amazing. That's great. Went up to the treehouse yesterday. Oh, you have a treehouse, Kyla? Kyla has a treehouse. Beautiful spot. Was bummed out. So many people went in and kind of destroyed it. Do you ever go up there? Oh, you're talking about my old house. I don't even want to know, like, if people are treating it poorly or whatever. No, when I sold my own house, I sold it and I left. And now I'm here. Now I'm like thousands of miles away from it. So I have not kept up with what's going on back there at all. When I sold my house, it became the other person's. It wasn't mine anymore. And really, I just didn't keep up with it because I don't want to be emotionally attached to a thing that I have no say over anymore. Like, it was not my house anymore. It's whoever I sold it to. It's their house. So yeah, I've gone there since leaving. Any use for seaweed? Well, you can eat seaweed. It's also supposed to be good fertilizer for gardens. Awesome. Got a notebook. Yes. Got a notebook. And I have some things written on it that I have to look up after I'm finished this. Did you watch Josh's documentary on you? Josh's documentary on me? What? What? There's a couple documentaries on me? What? Wait, hold on a second. Shane is telling me something about this. Are you telling me there are some documentaries about me that I don't know about? Apparently there's some documentaries about me. I'm going to have to look up. Well, I'm going to have to watch these. Maybe, should I? Alright, so anyway. Deshane is saying I might not want to watch it because it's related to the...
No, when I asked about them, you said you didn't want to watch them because...
Alright, so maybe I'll look that up and check it out. Just watching the documentary about you on Exploring with Josh's channel. Oh. Well, is it all... It depends. I might want to watch it, but I might not want to watch it. If it's all just going to show like my old house as it is now, then I'm not going to be that interested. But if it's about, I don't know, I'll look into it a little bit. So David Taylor's favorite singer is Just Aurora. Don't know her full name. Oh, we'll have to check that out. Hey, Jaimie. Oh, I got to the bottom of my comments. And I'm only at an hour and a half. Usually it takes me like 2 hours to get to the bottom of my comments. Phew. Hey, Jaimie, nice work. Well, thanks, Billy. Anita A. has retracted her message. What were you saying, Anita? Now I'm curious. Did you write, Jaimie, you smell like old toenails, and then you took it back? You can tell me. I mean, if I smell like old toenails, I smell like old toenails. I just have to live with it. I mean, I can handle it. I can take it. As long as they don't throw poop on the walls, he doesn't care what they do to his old house. I don't care if they throw poop on the walls. Yeah, I mean, like, say you're living in a house, and no, say you build things for a living, and you sell something you've built. If you cared what happened to that thing, it could drive you crazy. You know, it could totally drive you nuts. Like if I paid attention to my old house and cared, it would be very easy to be like, oh my gosh, they're not doing it right. They're not treating it right. Now I feel bad. I put so much work into that, you know. That's why when I sold it, I decided, no, I'm selling this. Now I'm going to do something else. So yeah, I sold the house. I took the money. I bought land here. And so all of that love and all that caring is now going into this place. I liked the banana building, classic Jude Mike says. I also like the banana building. However, you know, just that semicircle tube design, you know, has a flaw. It's not nearly as strong as a dome. It's still pretty cool though. Jaimie does read. He reads our comment. Oh wait, I missed a comment. Do you have time to read? And if so, what do you read? I don't really. Deshana likes to tell people that I don't know how to read. I don't really know how to read. No, I'm reading comments here. So that's like the extent of my reading. Yeah, I don't really have. I should just say this. This is going to sound terrible. So when I don't read books anymore because generally speaking, when I read books, I start getting irritated at the what's it called, the hidden agendas. Because whenever you read a book, there's always these little agendas people are trying to push on you, and it ruins the stories for me, and I'm always like, what are you talking about? You know. So I end up not reading books then. Although if anything I read usually has to do with like reference material for like the melting temperature of a metal that I'm trying to melt, or you know, some kind of scientific information for something I'm trying to do. And yeah, in terms of having time to read, yeah, I don't really have time to read, I guess. Now, if I could read like my oldest daughter, maybe, because she reads so fast. Um, she was like 8 years old. She just taught herself to read. We didn't even have to teach her to read. She's just like, well, I'm 4 and I can read anything, so go away. But it was like she was like 8 years old or something like that, and she read the the entire Harry Potter series in a week. And I was like, how, wait, what? You can't. It would take me a week to get through one of those. How do you read that so fast? And so I watched her reading, and she's just like page after page is going. And I'm like, are you actually getting any of that information, or are you? And then she tells me the whole story, and I'm like, wow, she's actually getting the information. Now, one of the reasons that I read slowly is not because I can't read fast. It's because whenever I'm putting information into my brain, I'm always analyzing it. So I can't just read a page of text. Like I read a sentence and I'm like, what are all the implications here? And then I'll go to the next sentence and read. And I'm very deliberate about any information I put in my head. So I read very slowly. So yeah, I don't have time to read. Maybe one day I will, but right now I just have so many amazing things that I want to do and so many useful things to do with my day that Deshana's like having this whole conversation with me that I can't hear in the back of my head, and I'm gonna get one of my kids to go fart in her face. I never learned to read either. Yeah, good. Well, now I'm behind on comments again because I just went on about that for a while. Jaimie does read. He reads our comments. Yeah, that's the extent of what I read. Ola from Coin Spain. Enjoy your channel. Well, hello to David. I hope you're having a good time. Anita A. What do you read? What kind of books do you read? And I have to admit something. Anita, that name always. I really like the name Anita because there are so many jokes that I make up that have to do with Anita because, you know, Anita, I'm sure you've heard all the jokes because your name is Anita. But anyway, have to log out. Oh, Mr. Landfill, have an excellent afternoon or whatever it is. When I sold my land and fir pole cabin, the new owners tore it down. Oh, and also converted 3 acres of forest to clear-cut pasture. It's on Google satellite map. Yeah, you shouldn't have looked, Joe Blow. Maybe that's why I don't want to know what happens. Yeah, now that you've said that, I really don't want to know what happens to my old house. Because he built a house. Well, I don't know. Does it say he built it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. They tore it down and clear cut the whole place. Ugh. Billy never learned to read either. I can't read books. There's too many words. I don't know what they mean. You know, I don't just have difficulty reading books. I also have difficulty watching YouTube videos because there'll be like most of the time I try to watch a YouTube video, the person will start rambling on for like 4.5 minutes before they get to anything that has anything to do with the title of the video. And usually before that, I'm just like, oh, forget it, X, and I get out of it. So I actually try and make sure I don't do that myself, but I'm sure I'm guilty to some degree. Hi, Jaimie. Were you able to take a look at the network state, yes, of Balaji Srinivasan? It and you have potential. Balaji could fund you. Did you get my email regarding this? So I did look at it very briefly, but I didn't. This is one of those situations where I started watching a video about, this is what I just said. I started watching a video and like the host started rambling on and on and on, like 10 minutes into the video. I'm just like, oh God, shut up. And I didn't look into it that much more. But what I don't understand, why do I want funding from Balaji Srinivasan, and what is he going to fund me to do? Like to do some paperwork to make a country? Is that, I really didn't get any of the information that would be useful enough to answer your question because it was just so long-winded, the whole thing. I need someone to sum this thing up for me. Because the impression I get is that it's just some jumping through hoops, bureaucratic stuff. But maybe there's more to it than that. Maybe I don't know. So I looked into it very briefly and didn't get anywhere. I didn't have the attention span, and it didn't look promising enough to really, I don't know. So let me know if there's something, some way you can sum it up in some way to make it interesting enough that it's something I'm actually going to look into. Because often people tell me about things that I need to look into, and then I look into it, and I'm like, why did I even look into it? That was a total waste of time. Watching a movie is easier than reading a book. That is true. Yeah. I definitely watch more movies than read books. Because one of the things is, like, when you're watching a movie, even if you're disagreeing with a lot of stuff, the movie's going to keep going. But if I'm reading a book, I'm going to stop and be like, "Arr!" Yeah, anyway. Oh, Karina, are you cheering on Jaimie for talking at the back of my head? Audiobooks. The last audiobook I listened to was Out of the Silent Planet. No, I've listened to a few since then, but it's by that. Oh, see it? No, I can't remember the author now. Hey, who wrote Out of the Silent Planet? It's an old sci-fi art author. Oh, who did The Lost World?
Oh, not Edgar.
I need a dictionary when I read too many fancy words in the books. Yeah. We just got on. Well, hello, Shadowmancer. You sound very, very scary and powerful. Have to go back to the beginning at 2 times. So I think from now on, I need to start my videos talking super, super fast so the people who catch up later and watch it at 2 times can have a ridiculous time. I am forced to read chat. Forced, I say. I'm glad I can read the comments. Some live channels move too fast. Yeah, I think this is like, I don't know how many. Well, there's 64 people on right now, and that seems to be like about a good number of people to be able to read all the comments and keep up with them, because I'm pretty close to the bottom of the comments and I can basically keep up with them. I usually skip the first 2 minutes of most YouTube videos, except yours, of course. Well, I'm doing a good job then, trying to get to the point right away. That's also why I don't have, an opening intro title thing. Because when you see some video and it's like, here's how to do blah blah blah, and you're like, oh great, I get to watch this video learning how to do something, and then you click on the video and it's like 45 seconds of like some title and some music and some blah blah blah, and it's like, okay, this is really great and pretty, but can you just get to the point? So that's why I don't have an intro to my videos. I try to get to the point. I skip many YouTube videos too. Yeah. Jaimie, I bought one of your long sleeve shirts and tank tops, and they are both great. Yes, I wear the long sleeves to work all the time. Fit, great fit, and very comfortable. Good for working in. Oh, that's great.
He's the one that asked for the image we put on the upper right breast.
Hold on, you're asking me a question? If he's the one who
Yeah, that's the guy who asked specifically for them to be adjusted to the way they were.
Deshaina's asking me some question about the shirts right now, and I can't really hear very well. Do you know if burning wood creates carbon dioxide? I am pretty sure that burning wood creates carbon dioxide, yes. Carbon dioxide is what plants crave, except when they're busy craving Brondo. Glad you like my name. I read everything, fiction and non-fiction. Fiction. Favorite author NX. Wait. Oh, probably George Eliot. What does George Eliot write? I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up maybe. Wood equals clean fuel. Why aren't you using it to power cars, boats, bikes? Well, I'm personally not using wood to power vehicles because I have solar panels and they power my vehicles and myself. I power my vehicles. I mostly power my vehicles. I do use wood to cook, and I have an insulated tube stove, otherwise known as a rocket stove, which burns the wood pretty efficiently. And on my little island here, it's not very big. There aren't a ton of trees, but there's plenty of. Hey, hold on. What's going on? Oh, they're playing screen games. So even on my little island, there's plenty of wood just on the ground to keep up with my small wood fuel needs. Lost World, I think was from Stephen King. No, this is a different Lost World. It might be The Lost World. I have it on my computer, and the author he wrote a bunch of stuff. Oh, I'm gonna remember this as soon as I turn this off. Let's see, Lost World. I get fed up with too many snotty middle-class videos gloating how good their lives are, then I find something else to look at. Yeah. A lot of YouTube videos about how to do things are just from like people who live in the suburbs, and they're not actually doing anything. So their information always ends up being not that useful in real life. Can you burn your manure? I put my poo into a fertilizer maker, and then it can it becomes methane, which I'm not using yet. I haven't tested if I can use the methane, but also fertilizer. Yes, that was me. Oh, Matt Baker. I think, Deshana, Matt is saying, yes, that was him. Jaimie's Sunday show is a nice weekly reality check. Well, that is excellent. I love that. That is beautiful. Oh, Tomaters agrees. Thanks, man. Can you burn your manure? Yeah. If I dry it out, I should be able to burn poo. Yeah. You can burn camel poo because it comes out dry, right? Would you be interested in making a community with your values? Would you like to expand this community to make it solid with the correct people? If so, look into network state. Okay, so here's the thing. I want to build a community that does not have any kind of like formal sort of networked thing. So this is probably going to be my problem with this networked state thing. Like, I want a community of people who are individuals, who are working toward, making a better world and all that. And there's no set of rules that everyone has to follow, but maybe more like, just a collection of people who share kind of values, but not, the thing is, you lose something huge once it's quantified and written down and people have to follow a thing. I think that's one of the problems that comes up with when people make religions or any kind of ideology. Because once you have something quantified and written down and people have to follow the rules, then people start misinterpreting and changing things, but you have to follow it. And you get this big mess. So the community I want and the community that I'm building here is not any kind of formal, organized community. It's self-organized. Like if you're in a situation where there's chaos, otherwise known as chaos, like things self-organize. And I think that is much more valuable than something you force into organization, because something that self-organizes, it will maintain that organization over time. But when you kind of force organization upon something, as soon as that force that's making something be organized is gone, then the whole thing disintegrates. And this is what happens a lot with intentional communities. Like, there will be the person or the people who start it, and it'll go amazingly and all this great stuff will happen, and then once those original people die, it kind of falls apart. Like the second generation, they just leave, it doesn't stay. You could build a little steam engine for your boat for extra power on those long trips. Now, I do want to build a steam engine. I really want to build a steam engine boat. It's kind of on my list of things I want to do. but it isn't high priority because, I currently have a boat that works, and there's a bunch of other stuff that's higher priority. One is like growing food. That's a really high priority. Another one is setting up a lumber mill, because then once I've got that, I can cut boards to build my upper floors and stuff. So building a steam engine is definitely on my thing. It's just not, it's not at the top of the priority list yet. Yes, I built my fir pole cabin and was very proud of it. I lived in it for 12 years. It was a fir pole frame covered in chicken wire.
Jaimie, I heard Mama slamming the window.
Hey, don't tell her not to slam the window. And clear polyethylene. Was water snowproof. Someday I'll send pics. I would love to see pictures of that Joe Blow. So yeah, that all got torn down by the people who bought it. Yeah, that's exactly why I don't want to know what's going on with my old house. When I sold it, I left and was like, now it's yours. You do whatever you want. I don't even want to know. So I just focus all my energy on my place here. I must tell you, your video quality is so much better today. Every time you move the picture would just pixel up so badly. It was horrible. It was horrible. Yeah, sorry. Arthur Conan Doyle. That's who I was thinking of. Yes. Anita, thank you very much. You do read a lot, don't you? Yes. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So I've listened to a bunch of audiobooks of Arthur Conan Doyle stuff with Professor Challenger. Now I actually remember things. The Lost World was pretty amazing. It's kind of dated, so they have some words in there that are considered bad words today. So, you're not going to hear a lot of Arthur Conan Doyle today. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But I've listened to a bunch of different Arthur Conan Doyle stuff that I had on my computer that I've had for 20 years. I got it from, I don't even remember where I got it from. But he had some really cool sci-fi stories. It's kind of interesting to read sci-fi stories that are older, because they talk about the future, which is now our today. Let's talk poop for a little bit. All right, tomaters. All right. The Lost World, either Arthur Conan Doyle or Michael Crichton. How do you say his name? Whatever, depending on which book you meant. Yeah, I was talking about the Arthur Conan Doyle ones. And was the Out of the Silent Planet, maybe that was C.S. Lewis. I'm not totally sure now. What do you think would be the biggest upgrade to your life right now in terms of saving time and reaching your future goals more easily? Maybe, one thing. Okay, a couple things popped into my head first. One was like more people, like more community, and kind of like a girlfriend, but I can't control that. But yeah, having a bigger community, I want to have a bigger community around here of fellow adventure builders, and that community is very slowly growing, very slowly, but it is growing. But it would be cool if suddenly, I don't even know if this could happen. I can't just suddenly have 100 adventure builders just show up and just I think it is something that kind of has to happen slowly. For it to happen correctly, to happen right. But in terms of just my own island and stuff, the first thing I thought of was food. I want more food. I want to grow all my own food. My pepper plants are doing much better now that I've got little houses around them. Not even houses, just little PVC tubes protecting them from the crabs, so they're not being eaten. And then I've got all those trees that are fruit trees that are growing, and I'm getting more coconuts. I'm planting coconut trees. This is all just stuff that takes time. Another thing would be if I could get 14,000 tons of nice dirt, just dumped. That would be spectacular. Although another thing I thought of was one boatload of sand for my beach. But I don't want to make my beach too nice, because then people might start coming to it. But my beach has a situation where, the water level's been kind of slowly going up. So my beach has sand like this, and then there's like basically a wall of clay, and the water's getting up to the point where it's hitting the wall of clay and eroding it. So it would be nice to have that sand layer up enough that there's some part of sand always out of the water that kind of protects the land. So I don't know, I guess a lot of things. More materials, stainless steel stuff. The biggest upgrade to your life right now in terms of saving time and reaching your future goals more easily. Yeah, I guess yeah, having someone else living in my house who is on my team and wants to work with me on stuff would be pretty amazing. I think that would really be awesome. But it would have to be someone that I could work with on things. We can work toward our goals together. Many came here because this is a lot of typos. Oh, so some people came here because they saw the documentary, I guess, that Josh made about my place in Montana, which is Vermont. But yeah, a steam-powered paddle boat. I would love to build a steam-powered paddle boat. I think that would be really, really fun. And I look forward to the day when that floats up to the top of my priority list. And yeah, just the idea of like, you know, going into the forest and collecting a bunch of dry wood, bringing it onto the boat, and then just like taking off and like getting that thing lit and like stuffing the fire in there. Yeah, oh, that would be super cool. Ever watched the old movie Meet John Doe? It's about a good idea for a positive mindset for people corrupted by greed. I've never seen that. Meet John Doe. I'm going to write that down on my little pad here. Meet John Doe movie. All right. Hold on. I've got someone standing right here looking at me. What's going on?
Are you going to be wrapping up the next
Am I going to be wrapping up? You're rushing me?
No, but I have stuff that I need to
Yeah, I'm going to be done probably in a few minutes. It's almost at 2 hours. Did that biodigester methane farm work out? I don't know. I haven't tested it yet. I still have to. Next time I go to town, I'll try to remember to get a pipe to put on it and a valve and stuff. Supposedly it's working though. Shelfel Rodem steam paddle boat. Maybe I'll have to look that up. How the spud's growing and the runner beans. My beans, a lot of my beans have died out at this point, but I did get a lot of them out and I've planted some new ones, and my potatoes are growing.
Who's trying to come in here?
She can come in. I'm about to be done
But
anyway.
she's naked.
Oh, no, you can't come in here. No naked babies. Second question, are you still messing around with those acoustic concentrators you made with satellite dishes? Crazy that crabs are the garden pest rather than rabbits or deers. So the acoustic dishes that, you know, I was playing around for a while with satellite dishes and setting them far apart, and if you talk into them at the right place, they would bounce to the other one and the person could hear. I called them whisper dishes. I do still want to set those up, like one on my island, one on Deshaina's island, like one on my friend's island over there, and another one here aiming at that. But again, it's just not at the top of the priority list, so I haven't really set up any big things to do that. Although I've got all this styrofoam and I've got this styrocrete. Styrocrete would be like the perfect thing to build a big outdoor dish for that. So yeah, I don't have any amazing progress on that, but I do plan to. Like the next thing I do with those, with the sound dishes, is probably just make like a really big, good one. Jaimie, what's your take on Earth ships? Oh, don't get me started on Mike Reynolds. So Mike Reynolds is this guy he's responsible for the Earth ships that everyone's heard about. And he's an awesome dude who just got mired in legality and bureaucratic nonsense. And I highly recommend this movie about him called Garbage Warrior. I watched it years ago when I was still living in the United States, and it was just like another layer of why I need to move out of North America. So just a quick warning: if you watch the movie Garbage Warrior, it's about Mike Reynolds. The first half of it is amazing. It's this guy who's building these houses and doing all this experimental stuff and learning all this cool stuff. It's really awesome. And then he gets bogged down with legal nonsense and just, oh man, it was just heart crushing watching the second half of this thing. And Earthships specifically, I think the original idea behind Earthships was like experimental housing and all this really cool stuff. And then because of all the legalities involved, the Earthships that people know about today are just kind of this watered down legal version of what was amazing. So read The Machine Stops by E.M. Foster, sci-fi about people becoming technology. I don't have to read that. I see it every day. Oh, I'm totally not going to read that though. See, this is the kind of, maybe I'll write it down. That's the kind of stuff that I could read one day in the future after I get my, like 20 years from now, when I feel like I've kind of got things set up. And I don't know, I'm never going to get to the end of my priority list, but at some point I'm going to have to slow down. Maybe? I don't know. I feel like at some point in the future I'll read more though. The Lost World audiobook is available in full on YouTube. I would totally recommend listening to The Lost World by Arthur Conan Doyle. It was really cool. You need to hire a dredger for your sandy beach. No, there's not. The problem is there's not a lot of sand right there. It's like kind of mush under. So I couldn't just shoot a bunch of sand out, which would be nice. If 100 adventure builders would suddenly show up and they would be amazing, what would you imagine would happen as best case scenario? Well, that would just be like awesome. Like basically we would just create this amazing piece of the world that would maybe kind of spread out and grow and just create a really cool way of life and make this is the kind of question you need to ask like an hour and a half ago, because now I'm at like 2 hours. I mean, it's like there's so much that I could say about that. It would just be really cool. It is short and really fascinating. Okay, the book Anita recommends to me is short and really fascinating. Oh, so I'm going to write it down. I'm writing down this book, Anita. Okay, The Machine Stops. The Machine, I'm writing in doctor handwriting right now because I'm trying to write fast. The Machine Stops by E.M. Forster. All right, I'm going to be done in a second, so I'm going to have to skip a few things here. Are you interested in terra prieta, carbon, porous matrix, humic matter? I don't know. Maybe. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. People always recommend it. I haven't read it. I don't have time. How much of your food are you able to grow on the island? Am I able to, or am I currently? I am able to grow all our food on this island. So I'm working up to that. Russian me. I don't know what that is. Just wanted to ask what you did after being so isolated in Vermont. What you did after being so isolated in Vermont. I'm not sure what the question is, but I wasn't actually that isolated in Vermont. I was living like a mile from a little town. So I was basically as isolated as I felt like being. I could walk to the town anytime I wanted, but I did spend a lot of time just up on the mountain. Okay, let me see if I can find 2 more quick questions, and then I'm gonna take off and go have lunch or something. Let's see. Okay, that's what I was curious about with the styrofoam that you put in the tower up in Vermont. How well did those styrofoam cubes work for insulation? Oh, okay. Yeah, so I've been doing styrofoam recycling for a long time apparently. I used styrofoam boxes to, oh, I just froze, to insulate a building in Vermont, and it worked amazingly. It was really good. I could with a wood stove heat up what was like a 40-foot by 25-foot by 2-story tall building. I could heat the whole thing with one wood stove. I lived in Cape Hatteras for a while, and about 2 years ago I tried to find my way out of here, but got sidetracked and had to come back to West Virginia. Okay. Does anyone have one more question before I take off? And I know I just skipped a bunch of things, but I've been on here for 2 hours, and people must be getting sick of me. I was joking about someone rushing you to wrap up. No, I do need to take off though. I usually do this for like 2 hours, and now I'm at 2:05, and I gotta make lunch and stuff. All right, maybe we don't have enough. Do you have a question, Bellatrix?
No.
This is my B kid, the second one. She's working on getting her adult teeth, which is super cute because they all come in like all crazy style, like an ogre. And all right, I'm gonna take off. I'm gonna go feed this one and feed the rest of these guys. Deshani, you brought over potato pancakes, right? Are there any left? Yes. All right, I'm gonna go eat some potato pancakes too. And I hope everyone has a marvelous day, and you know what? Every day is an adventure builder day, so I hope I hope everyone has an excellent adventure builder day. Oh, this was a volume question. Do you know how awesome you are? I don't know what you're telling me right now. Okay, everyone have an awesome day. Okay.
I would always have to say bye.
Are you sure you want to stop streaming? I guess so.